We have substantial evidence for sexual violence that took place on the 7th of October.
אני זוכרת את התנועה הזאת, ואז מעבירים אותה לעוד מישהו, והוא חותך לה את השד. הוא חותך לה את השד, הוא זורק את זה על הכביש, הם משחקים עם זה.
The bodies whose breasts were cut were found in several other locations. It depicts a pattern that could not have been unless it was premeditated and preconceived by Hamas themselves.
It wasn't incidental, it wasn't just happening. They learned, they did their homework. This is kind of a pattern that we're seeing, that it's not only sexual abuse, but it's sexual abuse in its worst form. It's like they wanted to inflict pain in the cruelest manner possible. I think they've redefined evil, and in ways that we will even need to redefine international criminal law.
Women, sadly, as old as the history of humanity. Because when the body of the woman is violated, it symbolizes the body of the whole nation.
While I was in Gaza, I was chained for 3 weeks. I was kept in a really dark room without being able to move. And whenever I needed to go and use the bathroom, I needed to ask for permission. His name was Muhammad. He used to sit on the bed in front of me, wearing his shorts, laying down. I remember I couldn't look at him. I was just like looking away and covering myself with the blanket so I wouldn't have to look at him. It made me feel really uncomfortable. He also kept asking me, do I like sex? Do I have sex with my boyfriend? And whenever he talked about it, I just like giggled and say, oh, come on, stop, trying to change the subject. I knew that he's up to something. I knew that something bad is gonna happen.
אחד מהמחבלים כל הזמן היה אומר לי, והוא אומר לי, בסדר, תחזרי לחדר.
What was going through your mind?
פחדתי ממש. כל הזמן פחדתי. היו כל כך הרבה רגעים שזה היה כמעט יותר. פשוט הגוף שלך הוא פתוח לכלל. אין לאן לברוח. וגם אם יאנסו אותי או שיקרה לי עם הידיים פה. הקלות שבה הם עושים את זה. החיוון נשק לראש ופשוט לעשות מה שהם מוצאים זה דבר שיכול לקרות בכל רגע. את יכולים להעיר אותך באמצע הלילה ולעשות את זה לנגד עיני שאר החטופים. יכולים לקחת אותך לחדר אחר, יכולים פתאום להיכנס לך למקלחת, פתאום לשירותים. כי מי ידע גם? מי ידע?
So one day, Muhammad came and gave me women's sanitary pads. He said, dam. When you get your period, after that, you'll take a shower and you'll wash your clothes. And he kept repeating that every couple of times a day. Something is about to happen. And the period was just for one day, but I fooled him to think that the period is continuing. So I remember going to the toilet, folding the pads really tight so he won't see that there's no blood. So I did it for about a week until I could not lie anymore. And he said, oh, come on, go take a shower. I told him, no, I don't want to. The water is cold. I don't want to take a shower. Please, I don't want to take a shower. And he said, no, don't worry. He untied me and took me to the kitchen and showed me a pot sitting on the stove. I remember thinking, now is the moment. Something what you thought about is gonna happen. I bent down in the bathtub like this, so I could cover myself up, taking the warm water from the pot and put it in over my head. And for 1 second, I completely forgot about everything. I just really enjoyed the warm water on my face. And then I remember hearing him saying, quickly, Amit, quickly, quickly. And then I remember I turned around. He was standing with his gun, and the gun was pointed out at me, and he was huffing and breathing heavily, and he had a face like a monster, like a beast, like this. So I stood up and held a blanket, a small blanket, to cover myself, and he came towards me and just pointed the gun really hard at my forehead, screaming at me, take it off, and punching me, until I could not hold the towel anymore. And he started touching me, and I resisted, and then he dragged me to the bedroom. And then he forced me to commit a sexual act on him. And I remember the entire time I was thinking, Amit, okay, you know it's gonna happen. It's really happening. I said to myself, okay, you can handle this. You just want to survive. You need to survive. Your mom, your family is waiting. I just concentrated on that instead of what's really going on. And when he was finished, he went to clean himself up. I got dressed, covered myself up, and I was crying. He came in and he told me, I'm good, Amit, right? I'm good? No, I'm no good. No, I'm good. I'm your friend, right? Remember, I could not look at him. I looked away. And then he got really mad. He closed the door, and I was in that room in complete darkness. Then he came in again and asked me, food? I'm good, right? I'm good, food? And I realized that if I say no, he's gonna punish me again. So I said, yeah, food. And that's the worst part. That I'm completely dependent on him, completely dependent on a guy who just forced me to do what he forced me to do.
When you start hearing the stories, starting from psychological abuse, layer on top of that physical abuse, and that could be beating, and that could be branding. And
branding? What do you mean? What's branding?
Branding is marking someone by burning a pattern so they would be marked. And I got medication to sedate them. Some of the women were very concerned as to what happened when they got those medications. They didn't know.
Do you have reason to believe that the hostages left behind faced even more sexual abuse?
When I think of the people that are there for over 100 days, I'm scared of what we're gonna meet. We're ready for the unthinkable possibility of pregnancies and for needing to provide help in very, very difficult decisions.
I felt disgusted with myself, even though I had no choice. It's really difficult to talk about. But after I talked to the lady doctor and told her, I felt like something was released, like it made it better to talk about it.
You haven't talked about this until now. Why?
I decided to talk about it only after I heard that people are trying to say that it didn't happen. So I decided that I need to talk. I need to talk for women. I need to talk because I won't forgive myself if I will still see people that are saying that those things didn't happen when I know that they did.
Now, I want to shout and talk to the world and let them know what's going on there. if I can help someone, if I can help the people who are still there, I want to. I feel like it's my calling to do so.
Very long time before they speak out, if ever they speak out.
We may never know the extent of the sexual violence because these women were silenced. So every one of us, women and men, must speak up for these women and say, we will bear your story, we will bear witness for you. You will not be forgotten, and what happened to you will be told.
Maybe everything I've done has led to this moment.
Why? Why do you feel that way?
You know, I've spent a lot of time in my life advocating for women, and it felt like this was a moment where we needed to be really honest and direct about what happened. Rape is never acceptable. And in this moment, since October 7th, I felt like we were sliding back to a place where we would start accepting the unacceptable. And I can't let that happen.
Can you tell me what resonates the most from everything you've heard?
You just hear the story after story after story. People who have not met each other telling us the same things over and over. And I have to believe that we will tell these stories and give these amazing witnesses the chance for people to hear from them in their words in this film what happened. Anyone who watches this film can bear witness. And we can take that pain and take that trauma and turn it into hope, turn it into commitment, turn it into conviction that we are not going to let this happen again.